Hello, Marc. My name is Patrick. Who are you?
I'm Marc. Hello,
Hello,
Patrick.
we are Marc and Patrick. We are making a podcast.
Yes, thank you.
I have something that comes to my mind that comes out of a conversation I had yesterday with a friend who used to be a musician I worked for. I made mixes for him and we recorded together. And now he wants to do this on his own, which is really cool. His building experience and everything. And one funny thing I have noticed is that when I was delivering mixes to him, he had like, okay, the bass needs to go up 2 dB, the guitars need a little bit more, blah, blah, blah. He was able to clearly articulate what he needed, and it was cool. And we came to the point very quickly. Now that he's working on his own stuff, he's completely losing track of the bigger picture because he's so obsessed with snare reverb and details. He doesn't see den Wald vor lauter Bäumen. He doesn't see the forest
because of all the trees.
Because of all the trees. That's like a German proverb. I don't know if that exists in English, but he's really trapped in that thing.
Yeah.
What can we do about this for him?
I have this problem also more when I'm working on my own music.
Really?
Yes. When I work on music from other people, I just hit play, I listen to the song, and I'm like, okay, I think the chorus needs to be big and blah. And then I can always see the song more clearly. When I work on my own stuff, I'm like, this needs to be, oh my God, I think this bass drum is, I fiddle around with all these details and I get lost way more.
How funny this is that I'm completely opposite. When I'm working on something of my own, I have a vision, I have a thing. I know that I'm the only one who I need to satisfy and I know what I want. As soon as I'm working on somebody else's music, it's like, how would he like to hear it? And then like the bar is always set high, but I don't know so specifically what color that bar has. You know what I mean? So it's more like I have to guess stuff for my own stuff. It's like, what do you want to wear today? Is like, okay, I wear a pair of jeans and a pair of something and look in the mirror and say, yeah, okay, it's fine, go for it. But if I say, let's go and buy some clothes for Marc, okay, well, let me think. Well, what does he usually wear?
Yeah.
He always wears those fancy shirts and stuff, and then like, okay, where the am I going to get fancy shirts like this? You know what I mean?
The funny thing is, I totally understand what you mean. I totally get it.
But you prefer to dress other people than your own.
Yes, and but yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I've tried to analyze why that is, and I think maybe the reason is because if I have to dress you, I cannot know how you want to dress anyway.
Yeah, and that's a difficulty.
That's the difficulty, but that also means that it stops me from guessing at all. I just give my best shot and I don't overthink it because I know your first reaction to that will be like, but I don't like black. And I'm like, okay, thanks, great, now I know that. If I think about my own self, I would be way more specific because in my case, I don't have to guess. I get caught up in like these details, whereas with you, I'm like, I don't have to worry about if it has to be like this or this or this and that and that. I would just be like, I got black shorts for you. And then you will just react to it and be like, that's great, but could I have some blah, blah, blah on it? And I'm like, okay cool. There was no way that I could have known this. So why guess? For me, it feels like a waste of time guessing stuff that I cannot guess.
Okay, so
Does that make sense a little bit?
I think so. Now I try to see why does he have trouble to work on his own and is second guessing everything. The thing that the friend of mine has is that he's overwhelmed with possibilities. And it's like, yeah, but I have this compressor and that compressor and all I think is like, yeah, it's not about this. You're lost in possibilities and lose what's the essence of everything. I think sometimes you just need to step back and try to listen to your work as if you would hear it for the first time. Referencing, so use a reference just to calibrate. It's like, oh, okay, I'm too bass heavy. My snare is completely lost or whatever.
Yeah. Also, maybe if you know that you don't have a lot of experience yet, just having awareness of of the fact that your learning curve is like very steep. So whatever your best take on whatever you're working on is today might be drastically different tomorrow.
Yes.
And that's just, you just have to come to terms with that, I think, because otherwise you will, just keep delaying it to the next day because you will always learn something. Whereas if you are already pretty experienced in something, you know that if you finish, let's say, a mix today or in a week, it won't change as much. You just have to maybe be aware of that hey, I'm just still learning very quickly a lot every day, but I can't wait till my experience, curve is done.
You have to finish it, and you can put whatever you learned in the next and
exactly.
in the next and in the next.
I think
because our first 100 or 200 mixes sucked as much as everyone else's first 100 mixes, and then it starts getting better.
Yeah.
So well, if you lose track of the bigger picture because you're obsessed with details, you have to force yourself to step back 1 second and just listen to it as if you were consuming music that you like. Just work on the really important stuff first, and then maybe just finish it and get into finer increments of detail with the next and with the next and with the next and with the next.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's about it.
Yeah. Cool. By the way, we started a new series, the mini masterclass, where we recorded a mini song, and every week we will reveal
a new episode. So this week we reveal vocals. So just check out the new video and see how we treated vocals for this song.
Yes.
And now up to an interesting question that we were asked.
All right. Yeah. Dylan Peters. He already asked a question, I think, 2 episodes ago.
Yes.
Hey, Dylan. Dylan Peters says, the benefits of serial compression. What are they?
What's the question?
First of all,
that's not the question.
First of all, okay, serial compression is you put a compressor after another.
Yeah.
Just
as opposed to, didn't we talk about parallel compression last time?
Yes, I mean those. Yeah, it's very confusing. I mean, for somebody who's maybe starting out, if you talk about insert compression, you talk about you have a signal and you put the compressor on the thing, so you just have the compressed thing.
Yes.
If you talk about parallel compression, you have a not compressed thing. You duplicate it and you compress the second version, and you blend them together. And
so what the heck is serial compression?
Serial compression would be you have one compressor and another compressor. It's in series after another. Okay, so benefits of that.
You name one, I name another one.
You can use 2 compressors in series for different applications or reasons. For example, you could have one compressor that is more to even out the general dynamics of a performance, for example, a vocal, and the other one could be more for attitude or to shape transients more. So one might just control in a gentle way, and the other could be way more aggressive. And by having one compressor working a little bit, you can make the other compressor work a little less. So it's less obvious, less abrasive or something.
Yeah.
That would be the kind of thing
Yeah, that's a good thing. If the workload is shared, so it's the compression artifacts, if you don't want any, could be less. You can use compression for different applications, even more than just saying
quick compressor and
slow compressor.
Let's say you have a limiter, which is a very fast compressor, very fast and very high ratio compressor that's shaving off some peaks. Then maybe you have to add a low cut EQ because very fast limiting can introduce some low rumble. And then by using a low cut, sometimes you again somehow change the dynamics of a signal. If you put a limiter on a signal and you bounce it out, you have like a sausage. And then as soon as you put a low cut, suddenly there is dynamics coming back. So sometimes using an EQ in between gives the need for another compressor or another limiter after this. So it can be that you use different compressors for different tasks, but also that you have another step in between, and then suddenly a need arises for another dynamic shaper of some sorts.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different reasons why you have serial, but maybe the main thing is shared workload.
Yes, I would also say.
Yeah,
that's the main benefit.
Yeah. Dylan, thank you for the question. I hope that any of this made any sense to you.
Yes. Do you want to pick a question?
Yes, I'm the question picker.
Hey, if you like our podcast and this channel, consider subscribing if you haven't yet. And also, leave a comment and ask a question so we can cover one of your questions in a future video. And last but not least, go tell a friend about it. Thanks.
Randy Wade.
Hi.
Randy? He asked, when to use Lopass, Hipass, or shelves on instrument tracks or buses?
If I need to, if there's a problem.
Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, that's
Okay, when do you need a high pass?
if there's like
Too much low information.
yes, if there's like low end information in a track that just doesn't need to be there, or it's not really something audible, or that nothing that empowers the song. So then you get rid of it to make space for other instruments that have power and energy there that needs to be heard or felt. But if there's nothing there, then I mean this. I think this is like a philosophy thing. Some people like to just like high pass by default, basically.
Yeah. The thing is, if you are cleaning up your tracks, you make sure that you don't have the accumulation of low end build up over tracks. Every track may have a little bit of something, but then if you have 20 tracks with a little bit of something, then you have a little bit more of something.
Yes.
So it can be good practice if you have a lot of tracks to just make sure that you don't have excessive build-up of low end or even high end. If you have like one electric guitar, you will have some fizz up there, and it may be nice. But if you have 7 guitars, then you will have a build-up, and it may cloud the cymbals, for example, of the drums.
Yes.
So this is the case where I think that some general cleaning up of low end and high end can be good practice.
Yes.
Just to make space for those elements that only can live in that space.
Yeah.
But what could we give a general rule of advice of when should you do and when shouldn't you do?
I would say if in a frequency region in the top or bottom end on an instrument or a group, whatever, there is nothing there that empowers the song or is the essential part of that instrument or group of instruments, then you can cut it, or maybe even should cut it. But be gentle and listen to where and how much you're cutting.
Yeah.
Maybe this is like a nice summary.
Yes. Okay, I hope that helped a little bit, and thank you for the question.
Thanks.
Miezefiez asked the question, what is for dinner tonight? Hello, what is for dinner tonight?
Nothing.
Unacceptable. Outrageous.
Okay.
Okay, I have something here. Do I have to own expensive gear to make great records?
Okay, let's put it this way. You would have to argue if I do great records. But given the fact that I do this professionally and can pay my bills from working, no, because I don't own expensive gear and I'm still making a living.
Yeah.
I think
that's a good point. So the short answer is no, you don't need expensive gear to make great music.
Yeah.
But it is worth to have equipment of reasonable quality.
Yes.
But I think that the good analogy, because we are really big fans of analogies, is do I need an expensive car to go shopping for groceries? No, you don't.
Yeah.
Is it more fun to ride in a more expensive and more luxurious car? Yes, it is, but you don't need it.
Yes.
That sums it up. So no. Yeah.
No.
Yes and no. No.
No,
yes.
you don't need it.
No. 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 Okay. Do we need more questions to have a good podcast episode? Yes, we need one more final question to have a satisfying episode. Do you have something?
Programmed drums versus organic drums. When, what, why? What's your...
Some music genres definitely need real drums. Jazz, very stripped down arrangements, you would probably be able to tell this is programmed or this is real.
Yeah.
And if you don't want it to sound robotic, then you need real drums. Except from this, it's an aesthetic thing. I know that your way of programming drums, because you are a drummer, you can deliver programmed drums that are pretty natural.
I would say it's as close as you could get with programmed drums.
The funny thing is that the amount of work that you sometimes have to put into programming drums, and you think, I'm going to save a couple of bucks because I don't need to hire a drummer, I don't need to hire a space. You're going to spend hours and hours and hours to make a programmed drum sound like a real drum. It would be much more economic with a greater outcome to just hire a drummer and set up some microphones and just record it.
I think for me, it also depends on the situation that you are in, because what I encounter a lot is if I'm producing a record, if it's a band with a real drummer, and like the goal is to capture that band and, you know, be organic and authentic and be like, I can point out, this is the drummer, this is the band. It sounds like the band. It has to be him. It has to be him. But I would say just out of convenience and also like just like how to me like the real world works, whenever I work with like solo artists and it's in a pop rock-ish world, I would always go for programmed drums these days, I have to be honest.
Yeah.
But like I said, the reasons are different because it's not a sonic thing. I just think the artist and also maybe the end consumer that will listen to those records, which is about the singer, won't care about the drums as much as if it's a band. That's one thing. And the other thing, it's just easier to work because, you know, like solo records, you will also like a lot of times fiddle around on arrangements, parts until the final mix. So that's more a convenience thing to me because I do a lot more of those kind of things where it's like you're close to the end to mixing a song, and then it's like, should we maybe have a ride cymbal instead of the hi-hat in the second bridge? You can just be like, no problem, done. You know, you just don't have to like settle with a decision at the beginning of the recording session. So in this scenario, I would choose programmed drums, but that
can also be a trap because you still have this to leave options open all the time can also be a real pain because everybody knows that we can still change it for this and that. Sometimes it's good to commit, and it's like, hey, that's what it is. We made a pre-production, we made up our mind, we found it good in that moment. So I always say, if it's good now, it will be good later. The decision is taken, we are going with it, and it frees your mind. It is everything has its advantages and its disadvantages. You cannot change it anymore, but it frees your mind because you can't change it anymore.
Yeah, like I said, if I would record or mix or produce a band, then I also like to commit, you know, because also you could go with guitars. I use a lot of like plug-in guitar sounds. I just print that and just pretend I cannot change it. So I like that mind-freeing thing. It's a good thing. In a situation of like a solo singer, artist, whatever, pop artist, like nobody cares about the drums. And if for whatever reason, you know, at the very end before mastering, the management is just like, we have to fix it. You just go like, what? Fine. Like if it's one thing and I can do it, if they are happier, I mean, this is what we always say, the customer has to be happy. So if I can still fix it, I'm fine with that.
Yeah. That's cool. So whatever
applies to your situation, I guess.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
That was fun. Then hopefully see you next week. If you enjoyed any of this, then subscribe and like and comment and ask questions so we have more fun questions to answer.
Yes.
And see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.